Some of these Raiders players and coaches are on the hot seat entering week 2. I'm Mitchell Renz, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up here on today's show, I have the players and coaches ranked from least to the hottest seats entering this game against the Baltimore Ravens. Right now, the Silver and Black are 0-1. You got to get a win on the road. Falling to 0-2 makes me very, very nervous. So these are players that, quite frankly, need to step it the F up. So here's your opportunity to go down in the comments section, and I want to know what the nation has to say. Who's on the hottest seat entering week 2 for the Silver and Black? Is it a quarterback? Is it a defensive player? Is it a coach? You're going to find out who I think is on the hottest seat entering this week's game. So here we go. Coming up here at number 7, I'm going to go with Divine Diablo. According to PFF, Diablo was the lowest graded defensive player for the Las Vegas Raiders with a 29 PFF grade. This is also a player that, quite frankly, needs to be able to step it up in this football game because you're going up against Lamar Jackson. You're going to be going up against somebody that offers a lot of versatility with that offense. It can beat you with their legs. I personally would like to see the Raiders do a little bit of QB spy, maybe a little box and one is what I like to call it. I personally would use Robert Spillane, but if Robert Spillane needs a little bit of a breather, you could also see an opportunity here for Divine Diablo. He needs to be better. He needs to be more consistent. He shows some flashes of some really good stuff, and then he shows some flashes of another player where I'm like, I'm just telling you right now, and I said it a few weeks ago, if Divine keeps playing the way that he does with the inconsistencies, if I'm Antonio Pierce, and you know Diablo is not going to be back next season, I would be shocked if he is. Why not give a guy like Amari Gaynor some more reps? Why not give a guy like Tommy Eichenberg some more reps? Anything besides what we've already seen in Diablo, because same thing over and over again, I don't know if I need to see it anymore. Let's go to number 6 here, and it's Gardner Minshew. I actually don't think that Minshew played bad last week. 25 of 33, 257 yards. The really bad fumble, did have an interception, unable to move the offense very consistently is probably how I'm going to say it. But at the end of the day, there were a lot of people asking for Aiden O'Connell. I mean, and I asked it on social media. When you're the quarterback of a football team, all eyes are going to be on you all the time. And if you're a QB that's 1-1 compared to a QB that's 0-2 on a team that, you know, a lot of people I think really thought that Aiden O'Connell was going to end up winning this job. Every single week, Gardner Minshew is going to be on the hot seat. Until the Raiders have a playoff spot locked, which that's a long ways away, Minshew's always going to be on the hot seat. He knows that. And I think everybody watching this show knows that Minshew's going to be on the hot seat in some way or another. Gardner's at number 6. Let's go to number 5, which I think this one might surprise some people. Quite frankly, it shouldn't surprise you. It's Daniel Carlson. If the Raiders are going to play defense the way that they're going to play, and if you're going to beat a team like the Baltimore Ravens, you need Carlson to be perfect, especially because you probably know that the Ravens kicker, Justin Tucker, who's arguably the greatest to ever do it, is going to be perfect. When Daniel missed that field goal last week, it was a big time getting the wind sucked right out of you. And, you know, if we're going to look at the glass half full, you got to think the Raiders missed the field goal. The Raiders turned the ball over 3 times. You had a turnover of downs on 4th down and 1. Think about all those just major game-changing type of plays. This could be a football game where you got a lot of good defenses, right? Ravens are a good defense. The Raiders are a good defense. If you're Las Vegas, you need to take advantage of all your opportunities to make points. Carlson's got to be more consistent. Struggled a little bit last season. I think he would admit that as well. Got to be a little bit better, and quite frankly, I'm going to put Daniel Carlson here on the hot seat. I expect a lot. He expects a lot. The nation expects a lot. And if you're going to be considered a top 5 kicker in the league, you simply need to do a better job. Now, Chugs and I are going to be live for Raiders at Ravens. It's an early game. I understand that. We're going to be live at least 12 noon Eastern time. We have a jersey giveaway. We got a lot of fun stuff. We had over 112,000 people tune in last week. I promise you this, if you can't go to the game in Baltimore, there's one place and one place only that you need to be on the internet, and it's here at the Raiders Report, rocking and rolling with the nation and Chugs and I. Let's go to number 4 here on the list. It's Andre James, and James and the entire offensive line deserves to be on this list. But in terms of what's really needing to go forward here for the Raiders, Baltimore's going to run a 3-4, okay? They're going to try to put a lot of pressure on the interior line. Raiders need to be able to run the ball more effectively. They had the worst success rate running the football last season, according to Warren Sharp. Last week, according to Warren Sharp. And realistically, when you turn on the tape, I don't really think Colton Miller was great by any stretch of the imagination. Pretty bad, giving up 2 sacks. But Dylan Parham played well. Thayer Munford played well. The big issue with the Raiders' O-line last week was Cody Whitehair and Andre James. And James just signed a 3-year extension. Got a brand new offensive line coach. Got a brand new system with James Craig. And very often it gets talked about, when a new quarterback comes into a new system and he struggles. Well, now you got a brand new offensive line structure with Andre James. And again, per Warren Sharp, Raiders running backs had a 16.7 success rate. That was the league worst. And you can put the blame on Zamir White. You can put the blame on Luke Getsy. And don't get me wrong, we're going to talk about Luke Getsy today. But when you just get paid, and Andre did get better and better, but maybe this isn't the right scheme fit for him in terms of the blocking scheme with James Craig. He's got to be better. Point blank simple. We got some more players on the hot seat, but before I get into that, Rocket Money. Who here needs to start saving some money? Even if you don't need to save, it's always a good way to be able to just have a little bit more confidence, I think, in yourself when you save money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Stop wasting money on things that you don't use, cancel your unwanted subscriptions, and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Most people think that they're spending $80 on their subscriptions when in reality the number is closer to $200. When you sign up for so many things like streaming services, you used to watch one show or free trial or free delivery you don't use, it's easy to lose track of what you're paying for. Rocket Money can even negotiate to lower your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is take a picture of your bill and Rocket Money will take care of the rest. So if anybody else is dealing with this DirecTV stream BS, Rocket Money will help you lower your bill. Rocket Money also notified me that my Netflix subscription has increased. So if anybody else is in that kind of world, believe me, go to rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. That's rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. I think anybody that watches this show a lot knows that I'm trying to save up for a wedding. I've been trying to save up for a house, trying to save up for a car. There's a lot of people that are doing very, very similar things. But you know what? I also got a fiance that's not afraid to spend some money, and it's good for me to know where all that money is going. rocketmoney.com/LV Raiders. Let's go to the third player here that I think is on the hot seat. I'm going to go with Zamir White. And I don't think that Zamir deserves to be up this high because of the way that he played, but he is up this high because of the way Alexander Mattison played, because of the pass blocking ability that Alexander Mattison offers you going up against a team like Baltimore. But also Zamir did have a little bit of a fumbling issue his rookie season in the NFL. But then also when you look at running backs, okay, and numbers, there are some big-name running backs, a guy like Bo Jackson, a guy like Josh Jacobs. And his first 5 career starts, Zamir White has 441 rushing yards. That is second most all-time amongst all Raiders backs behind only Bo Jackson, and he is ahead of Josh Jacobs. Speaking of Jacobs, though, when you have a back like Jacobs, and he was so solid for this team for such a long time, Zamir had some big shoes to fill. Telesco wants to go with a running back by committee. The Raiders want to go with a running back by committee. And recently, when you heard Antonio Pierce talk about the backs, he kind of didn't say that, this is still going to be Zamir's team. They kind of left it up in the air a little bit. So for me, I know that the Raiders want Zamir to be the guy. I want Zeus to be the guy. But you have to admit, if we're going to have a bad interior offensive line, and if Zeus is going to run afraid to fumble the football, those are 2 not good recipes for success. So a lot of eyes are going to be on Zeus. And quite frankly, I think if you want to beat the Ravens, that running game has to get going to take a little bit of pressure off of Gardner Minshew. Let's go to number 2 here of Raiders on the hot seat. Cody Whitehair. I don't know how this guy's still starting in the NFL. The amount of Bears fans that have reached out to me and they're like, bro, we tried to tell you. You didn't try to tell me anything. I knew Cody Whitehair was bad. I also knew that the guy number 1 was not that great. For Whitehair to still be starting in the NFL, it's very frustrating. And because what's frustrating about it is Whitehair would be a good backup in the league. He would be a good backup center, a good backup offensive guard. What's really frustrating is Andres Pete would be better. I think if the Raiders kick Thayer Munford over to left guard and put DJ Glaze at right tackle, that would be better. Putting Dylan Parham at left guard, putting Thayer Munford at left guard, putting DJ Glaze at right tackle, that would be better. All of these players I would rather start over Whitehair, and I understand that JPJ, Jackson Powers Johnson, the player that the Raiders drafted in the second round out of Oregon right now, is not 100%, maybe healthier in football shape, and he's not going to start this week. He is going to be available. But if you're going to go out there and you're just going to continuously do the same shit over and over and over again, and if you're going to expect a different result out of Cody Whitehair, then you haven't watched a lot of football. I had a Raider fan tell me, Mitch, it's one game. It's not one game. Look at what Whitehair did last season. Look at what Luke Getsy did last season. It's not one game. So to me, the player, the coach that is on the hottest seat going into week 2, it is Luke Getsy, and I don't know if it's all that close. Some people want me to put Antonio Pierce on this list, and you know what? Maybe AP should, just based on the 4th and 1 call and him doubling down. But for anybody that listened to Luke Getsy's press conference on Thursday, it was a lot of talking, and there was not a lot of things that were said. Hell, I even tweeted out, is Josh McDaniels wearing a Luke Getsy costume right now? The offense needs to stretch the ball down the field. Getsy in his press conference even said that he thought that the Raiders' offense got better and better as the game went on. I don't know what game Getsy was even watching. Now, did the Raiders have some unfortunate turnovers? Yes, they did. But anybody that watched Luke Getsy call that game, that was a high school level offense. You got to be able to get a little bit more creative. It infuriates me when you see teams out there like the 49ers, like the Dolphins, like the Chiefs, like just the Rams, coaches that are able to scheme their guys open. And then you see Luke Getsy, because if I got to deal with an offense that reminds me of Bo Hardigree, Mick Lombardi, John Gruden, somebody who can't make any adjustments as the game goes on, my hair is going to be whiter than Cody Whitehair's. So one more time here, Raiders on the hot seat, entering this game up against the Baltimore Ravens. Divine, Gardner, Daniel, Andre James, and then I'm going to go Zamir White. Then there's a major tier break. Cody Whitehair, Luke Getsy. Both got to be better, and I'm telling y'all right now, I'm not going to say fire AP this season. That's never going to happen. The Raiders defense are looking at a lot of metrics. Second best in the NFL right now, according to Warren Sharp. It's not the defense's fault. However, AP is going to get some blame because he's the guy that went out and hired Luke Getsy. I know that he wasn't your first choice. I know that Getsy wasn't your second choice either. Basically your third option. But if you're going to tie this offense to an offensive coordinator like that, you got to start putting up some points, because if you're only putting up 10, 13, 14, you got to get in that 21, 24 number range for this team to have a shot. And you need to be able to put up over 20 if you have any chance of beating the Ravens on the road in week 2.